Our guest tonight was a star linebacker at BYU between 2005 and 2002. He played 7 seasons in the NFL with the Giants, Rams, and Commanders. He knows his stuff. He's a friend of the program. It's our pleasure to welcome Bryan Kehl back to the Wise Guys. Bryan, how you doing tonight? What'd you think of that game last night?
I mean, if you like defense, it was a masterclass. It was a boring football game, but phenomenal defense by the green team that I don't like.
Well, Belo's all excited because he was cheering for the Eagles because he was cheering for the 49ers and hates the Chiefs, but not Andy Reid. Did I get that interpretation?
Yeah, that's spot on, 100%. Yeah,
I love Andy Reid.
I really have a rivalry with my son because their mother. They live in Missouri, and their mother's from Missouri. So right now she's molding
they're all
them
into the Chiefs.
She's molding them. So we had this little rivalry going, and it felt good.
I love Andy Reid. I'm a little over the Chiefs Kingdom mania.
We've been calling it the Queendom now.
Is that what you're calling it? Yeah. Bryan, was there a time in this game where you just kind of expected Andy to just figure things out, and then things just start working, and they never did?
2 times, right at the end of the first half, but Mahomes threw it to the other team. I thought for sure, I was like, they're going to go get a drive here, get some momentum, double dip. They're going to score here at the end of the half, get the ball at the start of the second half and score again, and we're going to have a game. But instead, Mahomes threw an uncharacteristic, terrible pick that was a touchdown a couple plays later, and then They got the ball to start the second half and did nothing with it. So it's just kind of how the game went.
What does it mean to a defense from a linebacker's perspective? When you can get that much pressure on the quarterback without doing one blitz, what does that allow you guys to do?
Well, it's demoralizing for the offense. And there's nothing better for a defense. I mean, I don't like the Seahawks. I didn't like the Legion of Boom and that great defense that they had, but I always give credit. And that's what made them great is they could get pressure with 4. And then obviously play great coverage in the back end. And that's why they were good for all those years. But that's what Philly did is they got incredible pressure with 4 and then smothered everything in the back end with 7 in coverage. And you just, as an offense, there is nothing you can do against that. If they're only pressuring 4 and getting to the quarterback, I mean, because they got it locked up on the back end.
Yeah.
Why do you think that's not more of a emphasis in college and maybe it's in the pros, but I mean, you would look and say that's a great formula. Let's put all of our focus on getting these top, defensive tackles so we can get pressure. Like it seems like an obvious, right?
You're not easily replicated. Unfortunately, you need four horses that are hungry to get after it. And every once in a while, teams are able to do it. But yeah, I mean, if you could do that all the time, defenses would.
Is that a money thing? Do you think, like in the NFL?
Money, you got to have those guys. I mean and it's not just having guys on the outside because a lot of teams have guys on the outside, but you need guys on the inside that can pass rush too.
Right.
And a lot of teams have one or the other. It's rare that teams have 4 guys that can get after it, and the Eagles do. I mean, in terms of just talent, their inside guys are probably more talented. I mean, their inside guys are just dominate. I mean, they're monsters.
Yeah, sure.
Hey, you got close to the big game. The Giants, they waive you early in 2010. The Rams pick you up the next day. So now you're on the Rams, and you watch New York go to win the Super Bowl in 2011. Timing is so much part of the highs and lows in the NFL, isn't it?
I still remember sitting at my parents' house all by myself, watching that game, just disgusted of jealousy and anger and resentment and all my buddies celebrating on the field. And it was tough. Poor me. I was wallowing in my self-pity. But yeah, I missed it twice because they won it the year before I got there.
Yeah.
And then they won it the year after I left. So, yeah.
Did you ask for a ring at least?
Impeccable timing. It got lost in the mail, I think.
Is it?
Never did get that.
I asked Belo this a minute ago. Gennaro Guilford gets the promotion in this past week to defensive passing game coordinator. How valuable is Gennaro to what BYU's got going on defense?
Oh, Gennaro is the best of the best. All Cougar fans will never forget that Utah game in 2001. I was a senior in high school, sitting in the student recruiting section, the I was getting recruited, and I was sitting next to my buddy who played with me in high school, who was going to Utah, and we were talking trash the whole game. And yeah, I mean, that play was iconic. And then fast forward, I get there the next year, and I just love that guy. He was just such an incredible player. He was a great teammate, and have always just been impressed with him as a coach and the stuff that he's done. And I heard a little bit of what Bilo was saying earlier in his last comment. I wouldn't phrase it that way. But,
neither would I, Bryan. Neither would I.
He has maximized, is how I will say it. He has maximized the output of the guys that he's had.
That is a way better way to articulate that, for sure. It
really was.
I'd be freestyling sometimes. And what's funny, Dave and the guys, they have to put up with me because they kind of hold their breath whenever I speak, because especially when we're live, right?
He's the only guy we have on a 25-second delay.
Literally.
What's he gonna say?
No,
but no, he gets a lot out of those guys, and it's evident. And you look at, especially these last couple of years, and yeah, I mean, just the way that we have covered on the outside and in the back end. I mean, it's unprecedented. We've always had like a guy here, a guy there that could cover, but that guy couldn't tackle very well. Or, it's just, I don't think, and I would argue this, I don't think we've ever been so complete in our secondary in coverage and tackling and assignment sound and just all those things. And that's why they were so good last year.
Yeah, totally agree with that.
That's a great comment.
Have you had a chance to look at the schedule yet?
I have seen it. And not to go back, I just want to make a point. And this warmed my heart. Just going back to last season, I was on Twitter, which I always am. And it's a cesspool, but sometimes there's some gems in there. And I can't remember what I was looking at, but it was some national post, and it was about BYU. And I was looking at the comments below, and there were other people from other states, and they were commenting. I think it was the BYU Colorado game. I don't remember what game it was, but the thing that stuck out was people commenting on how well BYU's defense tackled. And it just warmed my heart, because for years that was the opposite of the case. We tackled very poorly, and so it was just great to see that, to see somebody else recognizing the improvement, and it makes all the difference. So anyway, sorry to backtrack.
No,
you're good. I think that's a good note. It's always good when other people, recognize
exactly.
it. So, but so to the Big 12 schedule, what's your overall reaction to it?
Yeah, I see a lot of winnable games on there. It's funny. Your expectations are so skewed after last year.
Yeah. Good.
I mean, last year I was hoping for 6 wins, and and then obviously, they went through the roof, and so now my expectations are higher. I want more. I'm hungry. And so I look at the schedule, and I'm like, oh, we can win that game, or we can win that game, or we can win that game. And I'm just excited. I love it. I love football. I'm jealous. I told someone the other day I would give anything to be 16 years old right now.
Oh, right.
And to be reinserted, put me back into the matrix. Like,
listen, the alumni game's coming up. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. That's where you are now. You're a hero, a legend of that game. The two of you will be in here next month.
B, I think I have a chance with the JC rule. I might get 2 years. I might get 2 years back.
I heard about that.
I don't even need to play. I just put me on the roster so I can get some NIL.
Get some of that NIL.
That's it. Yeah. I'll be like a coach, I'll be another coach.
Some of those perks.
Right, exactly.
Hey, what do you think of Colorado on the 27th of September and then Utah on October 18th? Those are two big ones.
Big games. I still am bugged that they can't get us Utah in rivalry week.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, but maybe that's above my pay grade, but why that can't be done. This last year when rivalry happened, and obviously we had already beat them, which was glorious, but I just remember thinking, man, we should be playing them this week. But those are obviously two great games, and excited for both of them. And excited. Three is coming. Is that how you do that? Am I doing that right?
That's how you do it.
Out there.
Three is coming.
Three is coming. So yeah.
Now you've been in this game and you played it late in the year, and it's a cold day and all that stuff. October 18th is going to be perfect, even if they play it at midnight. It's going to be perfect for the fans. And when the weather's nice at LaVelle Edwards Stadium, it's just an outdoor block party, right? And then Boulder's that'll be a warm night in September, but that place will be hopping. Those two environments on those two dates, though, I think will be off the charts.
Yeah, it's really exciting, and I've never been. I've never been there to Boulder, so I always look at what games could I try to go to, and it's tough now with my son and his team that I coach. But I'm definitely going to look at trying to go to that game, and every year I try to kind of pencil some away games. What can I go to? And I always look for places that I haven't been to, iconic places that I haven't been to. So hopefully that one works out. That'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah, if it works, I'm gonna try to go with Spencer.
Oh, yeah.
Will they let me?
No, you're in studio.
No, I can't go, Spencer.
But Bryan, you should be there and take your boy. Although you'll be right in the middle of your season, so that's kind of tough, especially for you and Nick's. Everyone's got boys right in that same league. Your boys play together, and so it's a special time, but it requires you to be other places on Saturday.
Yeah. It is. It's tough. Dave's got two now that are playing, and so he's got double duty, and so it's tough. Sure. Saturdays are special.
Yeah, for sure. Former BYU and NFL linebacker Bryan Kehl on the Wise Guys, presented by Brady Plus, distributed by the Deseret News. Before we talk defense, you mentioned you want more here in 2025. After 11-2, what are your expectations for the fall?
I don't know what my expectations are, but I will go back. I am still just bothered at the games that we lost because they were so winnable.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I mean, hindsight's everything. If you would have given me this time last year 11 wins, I would have sold half my possessions for that. I don't know what I would have done, but it's just funny how expectations change. And then you fast forward to that point in the season, and we had the world in the palm of our hands, and we just blew it. And we have nobody to blame but ourselves. There's a handful of plays in either of those games that you could point back to. And then it just was, everybody was through the roof with how we dominated Colorado in the bowl game, which obviously was great, but it made the pain of those losses worse for me, because it was like, man, we could have competed.
Yeah.
If we would have taken care of business, and just who knows. And then also seeing how well Arizona State did, and I don't care what anybody says, we're better than those bums. It was just I'm still sour. I guess. Yeah. Long story short, I'm still sour. I want more. I'm hungry.
How do you weigh? Let's say you got to the playoff and got beat, like Arizona State did. You missed the playoff because the tiebreaker favors Arizona State and they beat you by 5. But you go to the Alamo Bowl, you rout Colorado in front of the largest crowd to ever watch BYU on TV, with a paycheck, the largest in program history. So you got that, and you take momentum in as opposed to end it on a loss. But is being in that playoff game still trump an opportunity to do what they did against Colorado?
That's hard to say.
Yeah.
And obviously as a player, it's hard to say, because taking an L to end the season versus a dominant win, it just sets you up. I don't know. I just think with it being the first year of the 12-team playoff, and just how iconic that would have been to bust into that.
Yeah.
And we had it. We had it in our. I had my flights booked to Arlington and all that stuff, and I booked them in October and had to cancel those. And like I said, I'm still sour.
We're still working through that.
That's the real reason why you.
It's only been a couple months, so we're still working through that.
I'm with you. I said this on air. I think the last 2 weeks I was like, oh man, I'm not as excited, or like I don't care about hindsight. It's because we were right there, right? Like expectations, they constantly. I think as football fans and even just as players, like expectations changed throughout the entire season. And as BYU started to win, and then having strong wins and then having close wins, they're like, oh, you guys can win in different ways, like, in challenging situations or in blowouts. And I think you're right. I think there's times in special seasons where you have a little bit of magic, which we saw.
Yeah.
And then there's other things that are out of your control that fall your way. So Kansas being down, right, that year. Oklahoma State being down. Like, it was like everything was
stars aligned.
Yes, stars aligned. And yeah, so I'm with you. So when it comes to like expectations next year, is it obviously we the first thing is what? Make a bowl game. So we understand that. But now it's got to be make it to the conference championship, right? Like, and regardless of how it happens.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's build. It's okay. We did that. Now what's next? And you look at, the best programs compete every single year. They're knocking on the door. And why can't that be? I'm just, that's how I'm wired. I think you're wired the same way, B. Like, why can't that be us? Like, why not? Who says it can't be? And that's just how I'm wired. So it's just,
Well, you had double-digit win seasons. Double-digit win seasons became a norm as you came through, and so it's been a while since BYU's been 11-2. But 9 wins next year puts you in the title chase. No one's going to go through unscathed. The home games you're in a position to defend LaVell Edwards Stadium. If you win your home games, that's 6. You go to East Carolina, you should win that game. That's 7. And now you got 5 games to pick off 2 or 3, and you're right back, and suddenly doesn't seem impossible, like maybe coming out of the 5-7 year we had 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just like B just said, the expectations, they evolve. And the bad part about them being so good last year is my expectations are high now. So, and most of the team is back. So sorry guys, you played too good. Now I expect more.
Isn't it so much fun?
I didn't expect anything. A year ago, I didn't expect anything out of this team. But now, sorry, you've shown me what you're capable of.
Yep. Expectations are fun.
That's why that Kansas loss hurts so bad, is because we had no business losing to them.
Yeah.
And then that ASU game, who obviously they're a great team, but we played like dirt for 30 minutes.
Yep.
And if we don't play like dirt for 30 minutes, we win that game. And so, and that's on us. That's just why it still sits bad.
Number 1 in total defense and scoring defense in the Big 12 in just the second year, tied for number 1 in the country with 22 interceptions. What impressed you the most about that defense?
So there was a couple things. I think just the team speed that stood out to me at all 3 levels was something that we've really never had. And then I already talked about the tackling.
Yeah,
it was just phenomenal to see open field tackling, and that's been an issue in years past. And the best teams, they block well and they tackle well. That's what football comes down to, and that makes all the difference. And then those turnovers. That's just it's incredible to see that many turnovers from that many different guys. And we just got ball hawks everywhere and being opportunistic, and then the offense doing something with it, because it's points off turnovers is what really, that's how you get paid dirt. And so those are the things that stood out, and that's why they did the things they did. And you could count on the defense. It was fun as a defensive player to be like, we're going to get a stop here. We're going to get the ball back. We're going to give it to our offense and give ourselves a chance. And it was cool to see that you could count on them. You
played on those kind of defenses. What did those kind of defenses do to the confidence for the quarterback and the offense?
Yeah, it is that. It's a back and forth, and they feed off of each other, and there's real synergy on a team that plays that way. And if you look at that Colorado game, it was total domination, offense, defense, special teams. And it was just so cool to see that, because it was a complete team butt whooping.
Yeah. And
on the greatest stage, like you said, all those things. And it's just fun to see the team work together and gel like that. And it is synergistic. They lift each other up when everybody's doing their job.
In the post-game show, I turned to everybody and I said, I'm so proud that's probably an understatement to be an alumni of BYU football. And then I turned to Nick and I said, but I'm even prouder that I am on the defensive side and I'm an alumni, because I've never seen a game like that being dominated the way most games, right? Like from a top tier opponent to a top tier opponent. Wise, like getting dominated like that, like I don't know if I've seen anything like that in a while. So it made me super proud. And something that you said that really stuck out to me was the team speed overall at every level. I tell a lot of people, if I was on this team now, like there'd be no way I wouldn't even get. First of all, I wouldn't even get recruited. just my measurables. And I remember at my junior college, I was like the 8th fastest person on the team. I came here and I was blazing by far. And everybody was like, whoa. And I'm like, dude, I'm slow. You know what I mean? And so that statement right there, you're right. And I think the biggest things that from a speed wise that really stands out is at the linebacker position. And Uncle B says this all the time. And he tries to compare these guys. So Jack Kelly, Harrison Taggart, and Isaiah Glasker. He tries to go back to where we had a complete group of guys. And he talks about, you and Nick's playing together a lot. And so, yeah, you're right. They're coming back, a lot of expectations. But like, how good do you think this group can be going into next year?
Yeah, I'm the type that it's like, okay, we did that last year, so now let's take the next step. And it's just cool because there's so many guys coming back and there's so much potential. And we, like you just said, we haven't had that speed. We've had a guy here and a guy there, but to have it across the board, and it just, if you look at the greatest programs, I just kind of talked about this a minute ago about always knocking on the door, but let's just talk about like the defense. Like you want to create that identity where it's just every year they're just dominant, they're ferocious, they're vicious. And I think we have the coaches for that. We have the infrastructure at the school. We've started to see some spending that we haven't seen in prototypical BYU. There's just so many facets that are starting to align to create not just success, but dominance. And so that's where it's exciting.
I got a linebacker question follow-up for you. First, Michael out of Beaumont, Texas on the stream. Mackey's from Montana. Tom from Vallejo, California. Kelvin from South Jordan, Utah, home from Qatar. So glad you made it home safely. And Neil from Tucson. All on the stream. Everyone listening to Bryan Kehl here on the Wise Guys. Kelly, Harrison, and Glasker. David Nixon thought that was the best trio together maybe in school history, and you guys had a trio that was really good too, and he cited that. Do you agree with that? Could these three be that good?
Yeah, to have three like that, I'm trying to think just offhand. I can't. I mean, there's been times where there's been two, but I can't think of a time where there's been three that are that athletic and good. I mean, because there's been times where you have guys that are really good, but maybe not that athletic. But I mean, those guys can all run, they can all cover, they can all tackle, they play in space.
All got interceptions.
Before my time, I heard a lot about in the 80s, this is where it was before my time, so I don't know the overlap, but you had Leon White,
right,
and Kurt Gavea, and then and Glenn Red, and I don't know what the overlap is there. So who knows? This might be
Whittingham was good in there too. Kyle Whittingham.
Oh, Whittingham,
yeah.
So I don't know, but they're special. Just the height, weight, speed combination is what's there. They all have it. It's unique.
Saw Rob Morris on campus the other day, the freight train, and I said, I still have that wooden whistle they passed out. But he too. But when you're right, when you talk about three, and they all do three different things from each other, and Glasker shows his ability to pick off passes when he's leaping around, and the speed, the closing speed of Kelly, and then the hammer with Taggart. It is a unique threesome, which triggers BYU being the number one defense in the Big 12 is just still a concept that we wrestle with because of how they were the year before it. But those three turned it on.
Yeah, there's a text thread with a bunch of guys that I played with. We call it the BOB, Band of Brothers. That's a Bronco thing.
Yeah,
the
Bob.
BOB text thread.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's a good number of defensive guys in there, and we've been commiserating about the defensive woes for a long time.
Right.
And it just the last 2 years, 2 years ago was a breath of fresh air, and then obviously this year was just phenomenal, like just through the roof. And it's just been like celebrations in that in that text thread with like B said, it's pride. When the institution that you bled and sweat and cried for doesn't show up, and especially the side of the ball that you played on, it hurts. It hurts you in deep. But when they do, when they not just show up, but when they dominate, it does. It fills you with pride. And so, like B hit it on the head. I'm with him. It makes you proud to because you're a part of that. You're in that. You're woven into that tapestry, and it's special.
Hey, Kelvin wants to know. Maybe Bryan can talk about how important it is to have a good D line to the linebacker core. Oftentimes we hear the linebackers and what they can do for the D line. What about let's reverse that. How important is the D line to what you got going on?
Oh, it's everything. So there was. I'm not gonna people will probably look this up, but I'm kind of throwing somebody under the bus. But I'm not gonna name his name. But I played for the Giants in my third year there. They drafted a kid from Nebraska in the 4th round, and he didn't last very long in the NFL. Nice kid, pretty good football player. But anyway, he played behind a guy at Nebraska that you might have remembered named Ndamukong Suh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And when you play behind monsters that gobble up the offensive line, I mean, it's just easy. Football is easy. And so, the front line, they dictate everything. And when they're taking care of business, playing linebacker is easy because you just run to the ball and make a tackle.
So when you heard Tanavasa was coming down from Utah to anchor that defensive line, what'd you think?
Oh man, Well, you always love just getting one up on those guys over there, and you always love when their fan base is sour. So that made me happy. And then the more I hear about this kid, he sounds like a BYU guy. So it's great. Like it sounds like a great fit, and he's obviously a great player, but it sounds like he's even beyond that. He's like a great person. And so that's just like, let's get that guy in here and let's go. That's exciting.
I think Jay Hill said the other day he might be the best lineman in the country. Is how excited they were to get him. And with the guys they got to replace up front, seemed to be a perfect time for him to settle in. All right, in just a moment, Bryan's going to reveal his top 5 linebackers of all time. NFL, college, Pee Wee, Little League, the top 5. Before we get to that, spring practice starts on February 27th, so just around the corner. What do you want to see this team focus on in spring to meet the expectations you were just talking about here later in the summer?
Yeah, so I think like when I played, it was always the next step. Like each year it was like, okay, I was pretty good at this. Now what can I do this to improve the next year or to next year to get better? And so that's what I hope those guys is focusing on each individually and then collectively. I would at the end of the year I would go back. I watched every snap from every game and with a notepad, and I wrote down everything that stood out, like, I can work on this. I can work on this, this worked, this move worked here. And then the spring is the time where that's the lab, you go to work and improve every little thing. And, this move worked, and then now I can add this counter to it, and et cetera, et cetera. So I hope that's what they're doing. And they played so great last year. So it's like, where can you improve? But there's always room for improvement, and especially individually. So
isn't that what you have to do?
That's what I would hope.
Isn't that what you have to do to get to the NFL? I mean, that's what you had to do to get to the NFL and you got there?
To be great. Yeah. I mean, it's just improvement. There's a lot of guys. I mean, everybody has a different path. I didn't start as a freshman, even though I should have. But I didn't start as a sophomore, even though I should have.
Right.
But I started as a junior, and I obviously started as a senior, and then I got drafted. And everybody's path is different, but my path was a path of improvement, and I got better every year, and it was just always outworking and putting in the grind, and so that was my route. Some guys come in and start as a freshman and then from there, but it's for me it's all about progression, and it's getting better every day and just rising.
Do you remember the first quarterback you sacked in the NFL? Do you remember that play?
Yeah, I think it was no, I can't think of his name. Played for the Vikings. Who
would have been for the Vikings?
See, I got CTE. He played for the Vikings, then he went to the Seahawks.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Tavares
If you go
Jackson?
to see, was it?
Tavares Jackson.
Did you take him out? Did you have a clean shot, or how'd you pull him down?
I got him. I actually was my rookie year. I got him, and I got Adrian Peterson in the backfield pretty good.
Yeah.
Nice.
And he got up afterward, and he kind of tapped me on the helmet and genuinely said, "Hey, nice hit."
Nice.
And it was one of those moments that was like, whoa. It was just so cool. And he was like genuine about it. Like, he tapped me on the helmet, like, nice hit, man.
Now, when
cool.
someone does that, do you want to hit him harder the next time? Or you're like, man, he's a super nice guy. I just want to bring him down.
No, not him. That's a freight train. So you don't let up. There was no letting up. You're gonna get run over because he ran like a missile. But yeah, no, it was actually just cool. Like, it was a genuine. I was really impressed with that because everybody's different and has a different demeanor, and it was kind of cool that he's such a superstar. And that interaction was pretty cool.
And you had a pick. Who was your pick against?
It was also that rookie year. It was against the Steelers, who won the Super Bowl that year. So it was Roethlisberger.
You picked off Roethlisberger. Nice.
Yeah, nice. I should have. I needed one block. My corner. I could have taken it to the house. I'm still mad about it.
Yeah, corners aren't going to block.
Just give me a block, man.
Yeah, they're not.
Corners are getting out of there.
Yeah, they're not going to block for you. If they're not getting the ball.
Actually, this is what's crazy. There was one guy that I needed to get, and was the running back, and the corner hit him towards me. It was like, dude, he gave him a boost.
See, this is what happens with, because most corners usually play offense, right? But they're going to be like, and the offense that they do usually play will be like receivers, and receivers are like prima donnas, right? Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So that's.
Well, I got an article coming up in the Deseret News on pick sixes, and you can read all about when Bryan took it to the house. So we do have that documented, and that's going to be a lot of fun. 5 questions is presented by Strategy Square, delivering connection, clarity, and confidence in business and marketing strategies. Owned and operated by a BYU alum who's helping the wise guys conquer the world. You can reach Chantal at strategysquare.co. Tonight, Bryan's top 5 linebackers of all time, and we do want to note Bryan had 102 solo tackles, 21 tackles for loss, 3 interceptions at BYU, 95 NFL solo tackles, including sticking Adrian Peterson in the backfield. So he's our expert at the top 5 linebackers, your peers, your colleagues of all time. And I know you've had some time to think about it. Should we go 5 to 1? Should we go 5 through 1?
Yeah,
or how do you want to do it?
5 to 1, and I have my list here, and you opened up that I could add in Pee Wee linebackers, and so
I just didn't want to discriminate.
If we were adding in Pee Wee linebackers, I would throw Nate Nixon, who's already better than his dad, in there. He plays. I'm the defensive coordinator, and he plays linebacker for me, and he is a monster.
He's such a good kid. All right, we're going to put him at number 6. Nate Nixon at 6.
He can be number 6. He's already 4 times the athlete his dad ever was. So.
If I could choose a Pee Wee linebacker, I would choose the Icebox from Little Giants.
I need to show that movie to my kids.
Oh, you have to. You have to. They'll love it, man.
Okay, let's start with number 5 on the all-time list.
Number 5, I put down Derek Brooks, Tampa Bay.
Ooh, yeah.
How come?
That's a good one.
He's just so versatile. I looked up. He had 5 first-team All-Pros, like 10 Pro Bowls, and he was Defensive Player of the Year and won a Super Bowl, and was just so athletic and just a dominant for a long time.
Derek Brooks, Tampa Bay. All right, number 4.
Number 4, I put Dick Butkus, who my only opportunity to see play was on NFL Crunch Course that I dutifully watched on my VHS every Saturday morning before my Little League games. And so that's how I learned about Dick Butkus.
I think he ate grape nuts without even putting milk on them. I mean, he was just wasn't he just? I had a chance to interview him in Vegas one time, and he was just seemed to capture what a football linebacker is.
That's what I was gonna say. If you had like in the dictionary, there's a picture of Dick Butkus. He's just what a linebacker. Yeah, 100%.
Okay, all right.
Just mean, nasty, no mercy, follow you up into the stands and hit you.
All right, number 3.
Number 3, I put down Mike Singletary.
Okay.
He was. I kind of looked up his stats too. I think he had 7 first-team All-Pros, and he was the Defensive Player of the Year in '85 when his Bears won the Super Bowl, one of the best defenses ever, and was just dominant all throughout and had his big eyes.
Oh, yeah. And, NFL films capture those things, put the music in, then he'd talk to his teammates, and he was like, he was it. He was it.
I've met him a few times, and he is just a great man.
Awesome.
And so, yeah, it was another one that, was before my time, but I've seen highlights of him and just was a phenomenal football player.
He fit right into the Bears linebacker lore. You know, we have Butkus, you get Singletary. Okay, that takes us to number 2.
Number 2, I put Ray Lewis,
Ooh.
who I did watch play, who I played against a couple times, and it's just phenomenal football player.
Great leader too.
What's it like when you're on the field playing the same position? You're against each other, but you're watching him, and then you're going to go back out and do it. What's that like?
It's kind of cool. It is kind of cool because it's a situation where you watch this guy when you were a teenager,
yeah,
and then now he's across the field from you, and there's all the aura and all that stuff, and it was cool. It was really cool to face them. And a funny Ray Lewis story from Pitta. He I guess he thinks he's a holy man, descended from heaven to grace us with his football.
Are you talking about Dennis, or are you talking about Ray?
Probably both of them. But Ray. So Dennis told me this story. So he has this holy water, Ray does, and he anoints everybody in the locker room. And so he anoints their head, and then he hits them after he anoints them. And Dennis said that as it gets closer to game time, the hit on the head gets more vicious. And he said there's people in the locker room avoiding Ray because they're worried about getting concussed before the game even starts.
That's next level stuff. Did you go shake his hand after the game? Did you get a chance to say hi?
I don't know that I did.
Yeah.
That's a good question. So I don't think I did, but maybe I did. But I did play him a few times and was in awe of being in such a great player. So
That's
cool.
awesome. So Derek Brooks, Dick Butkus, Mike Singletary, Ray Lewis, and now the number 1 all-time greatest linebacker in football history, according to the great Bryan Kehl. Who is it?
He's probably the best football player ever, if you ask me. The great Lawrence Taylor.
Yep. Good one.
Lawrence
Changed
Taylor.
the game, revolutionized the sport. Most dominant football. Like he
is. He was a beast. Well, let me ask you this. That's an awesome list. What does Fred Warner have to do to crack into your top 5? How many more years of dominance does he got to be?
It was, so that's he's got the talent of these guys.
Yeah.
So now it's longevity. So staying healthy and keep doing what he's doing. And it was kind of cool when I made this list because I didn't know how many All-Pros these guys had made. And so that was kind of cool to see how many first-team All-Pros these guys had made. And then I was curious who had the most first-team All-Pros, which was no surprise, was Jerry Rice with 10 first team All Pros, which is just ludicrous.
Crazy, yeah.
That's nuts. That's
and then
nuts.
there's a couple guys with 9 and, a few guys with 8. And that's what Lawrence Taylor had, 8 first team All Pros. So I think, what's Fred at? Is he at 3 or 2?
I think 3.
This will be this last one.
It's been 3 in a row, hasn't it?
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
So that's what's cool is he's on the trajectory. So now it's just longevity, stay healthy, and keep producing. But it's cool. You talk about pride. It's cool that the best linebacker in the NFL is from your school.
Yeah.
Who was the little high school kid when you walked by the office and Coach Kelly Papinka's like, Kehl, come here, come, we got to get this guy here. Come talk to this kid.
So you helped close the deal?
Yeah, I mean, so basically what I'm saying is that if it wasn't for me, Fred wouldn't have come to BYU. Like, I didn't want to come out and say it like that way, but basically, if it weren't for me, he wouldn't have come. But,
so Dennis was on the show last week, and we were talking about the Alumni game, and we talked about your catch, and he said that was the single greatest football play of your life, and that he's sure you have the game-winning football somewhere in your office. But that game's coming up here in a month. It's a lot of fun. Are you a hard commit to be back?
Oh man, I texted Jack the other day asking when the game is, and he never texted me back. So I'm already training. I'm excited. I love that, and I'm not surprised that Dennis would throw shade because B talked about Dennis was a receiver who played tight end, and Dennis could not block, and Dennis is a phenomenal athlete and a phenomenal tight end, but he could not block. And in practice, he had to try to block me, and he never did once. So that's why he wants to throw shade
Not one
at
time.
me. That's why he has to throw shade at me anytime he can, because he's still sad that he could never block me. But Dennis is a phenomenal pass catcher.
Yeah, the great Bryan Kehl. We look forward to seeing you next month out there at the Lavelle Edwards Stadium. The game's there this year. We're not at the old Provo High. And what's fun for Blaine and I to call this game is that all you guys get back together like you never left down on the field. And there are guys with a little less hair and a few less moves. But even last year when Steve Young came down and quarterbacked a few series, I mean, is there anything more special for a group of alumni than to get together and play a flag football game in the stadium?
No, I mean, it's so cool. I had a poster of Ty Detmer on my wall when I was a kid, and I was 8 years old and got his autograph at the Holiday Bowl. And that's a core memory that is critical to my fandom of BYU. And then, 2 years ago to play against him, I mean, it's like I could pinch myself. It's just so cool. And then when same thing with Steve, I worship Steve when he was in the NFL. The 49ers were my favorite team, and he threw a pass in the end zone in that alumni game that I tipped. And I mean, it's just such a highlight. It's just so cool. When you grew up just idolizing these guys that were legends of your school, and then to play against them. And yeah, it's so fun.
Be a fun night coming up here next month as we dive into spring football. Bryan Kehl with us tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. We love having you on the show. We look forward to having you back on, and we look forward to seeing you in a few weeks. I'll tape back up and out there at Lavelle Edwards Stadium where you were a human highlight film along with Nix and some of the legends. So thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you, sir.
All right, B, get ready. Get ready, man. It's time.
I'll see you there.
All right,
B.
See you there.
Thank you for watching The Wise Guys.
If you like what you're watching, you can help us out by subscribing and hitting that notification button.